Hi, I'm Matt Galloway. When DeMar DeRozan was picked by the Toronto Raptors in the 2009 NBA draft, he began his journey into Canadian sports history. He'd dreamt of an NBA career since he was a kid, playing basketball with his friends in his LA neighborhood of Compton. As a Raptor, DeRozan's contributions on the court were legendary, but he also sparked a conversation on the sidelines when he started talking about his own struggles with mental health. Here's my interview with DeMar DeRozan about his new memoir, Above the Noise. You go back to 2009. What was going through your mind when you realized you'd been drafted by the Raptors?
Excitement, a dream come true. I just remember feeling, like it was so surreal. Especially at that time, this was the place I definitely wanted to be. So to hear my name get drafted, having my parents there, seeing the reaction, walking up there, putting that hat on, it felt like a dream come true. Well, it was a dream come true.
It comes after a lot of hard work. In a neighborhood that you grew up in where a lot of your friends went down different paths. What do you remember about growing up in Compton?
A constant obstacle on a daily basis that felt so normalized. Growing up, no matter if it was a bad day or a worse day, every day felt normal. And it was adjustment that, I had to kind of get out of, and basketball allowed me to see more and have aspirations for more things, and gave me an opportunity to see that it is more things that I could lean towards and have dreams of becoming, So for me, it was just a constant challenge.
You said that it was a neighborhood, in the book you say, it's a neighborhood where death and destruction was normalized.
For sure. It was definitely that. When you grow up and you really can't understand nothing else but what you've grown up in, you watch movies and you see people growing up in nice places, you feel like it's just a movie. Like those places really didn't exist 20, 30 minutes from where you was living, So being trapped in that type of mental state, you kind of look at everything like it's normal.
What did basketball give you? Because again, in the book that you say that basketball was kind of the only thing that you could comprehend in that neighborhood.
Yeah, basketball was the only thing I could comprehend, and basketball was the only thing to allow me to embrace my imagination. Being able to recreate moments you see from your favorite players growing up. I just always remember having a make-believe, court in the house, doing fadeaway jump shots with my tongue out, trying to, be Jordan, trying to grow a mini afro like Kobe when I was young. It gave you a belief when you watch sports and when you play sports to really see that imagination could come true.
Tell me about watching those videotapes with your dad. I mean, this is before streaming. This is before you could dial up the highlights online, and you get the old cassettes sitting there on watching them on the television. Tell me about watching those with your dad.
It was such a beautiful thing when I look back on it, because I just remember how grainy the TV was. You couldn't even see the player face. But watching so many games in black and white, I remember times where they didn't even show the score on the TV. You just watching them go up and down the court. And I used to just watch basketball so much because, one, it gave me a moment with my dad, and two, unknowingly, it gave me a deeper appreciation and love for the game of basketball.
Tell me about the relationship that you had with your dad.
Man, my dad was my everything. He was everything I wanted to strive to be. I wanted his acceptance. I wanted to make him proud. He pushed me. He taught me a lot of things. He showed me tough love, but it all made sense, as I got older, to be able to have a supporting father. He was there for every moment in my life, so to him that meant a lot, especially now how I am with my kids.
You say that you knew he loved you, but he was also the only person that you were scared of.
Yes, he was the only person I was terrified of. I remember.
Terrified?
Yeah, I remember it was if I woke up late and I hear him walking up the stairs, or if he yelled my name, it was like a panic of me jumping out the bed. Because like I said, he was tough on me, but he was tough on me for all the right reasons. But being young, I didn't look at it that way. I always looked at it like, man, what I do now, what I got to do. But he was just teaching me a lot of life lessons that I carried to this day.
He really believed that you were going to make it too.
Yeah.
Like he kind of knew in his mind that you were going to make it.
I think he had the utmost belief in me more than anything and anybody before I even knew I was even good in basketball, you know. And I don't even think it was more so for basketball. I think as just a person, you know, he seen something in me that I could have, and he didn't let me shortchange it or make excuses or complain about much of anything. You know, he pushed me because he knew I was going to be something.
You have a tattoo that's on your right forearm, is that right? Mm-hmm. And it says, "Why would they care about you?"
Yeah. This
is a tattoo that you see it every time you're taking a shot.
Yeah. It was one of those things. Growing up, it was something that I always heard so often. Like, why would they care about you? You know, they don't love you. They don't make sure you get up in the morning. They don't push you. They don't give their best effort to make you be the best you could be.
This is what your dad was telling you.
Yeah, you know, and that was one thing that always was instilled in my mind. Like, you can't expect everybody to care. You know, you got to lean towards the ones, your family, the ones that really care for you, that want the best for you, because everybody's not going to care. Everybody look at you like you don't matter.
When you look at that tattoo now, what goes through your mind? What do you think about?
The same thing. Yeah. You know, the morals that he instilled in me at a very young age of not having, you know, expectations for people who don't care about you. You know, you got to do what you need to do for who you need to do it for, family-wise and for yourself. So that was one thing that definitely pushed me.
You used to go on these trips with him he was from Vidalia, Louisiana.
Yep.
And you would go on these road trips to a completely different world. You'd see the stars, you'd see all sorts of, but you would stop sometimes and you'd look up at the sky and he would show you the moon.
Yeah.
What was it about the moon?
What
did it mean to you?
It meant so many things because it symbolized that it was more to the world than just you. You know, growing up in Compton, a lot of times you feel like you so alone. Whatever you going through, it's only you. And I just remember the first time we used to drive from, you know, Compton, California, all the way to Louisiana. Mm-hmm. It was like a 2-day, 3-day road trip. But I just always remember when we got outside of the city, you could see the stars and the moon clear. Obviously, because so much smog in the city, everything, and it kind of just like it blew my mind because it made me realize there's so much more to the world than what I thought I was living in. I felt like I was living in such a bubble whenever things was going extremely bad, and you know, the moon and the sky kind of just symbolized that it was so much more to the world than what my problems I may be having in that moment.
So we played that little bit at the beginning of you getting drafted, and this is part of it. I mean, realizing there's a much bigger world. You come to Canada for the first time. When you land in Toronto, what was your impression of this country?
Oh man, it was very overwhelming in a lot of ways. You know, I just remember being confused trying to get through the airport. I remember seeing the freeway signs, half of it in French, half of it in English.
You asked yourself, like, what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah, like it was so much because I was by myself. I'm 19. I'm 19 years old. I'm a kid. I never, you know, going through customs. I filling out the customs card, trying to figure out what side was English or French, making sure I'm doing the right thing. But it was something that was very needed and essential for my growth as a man and as a professional, because it kind of grounded me and helped me kind of like start over in a sense and kind of just take one step at a time once I got here, and it was everything that I needed.
Why do you think you connected with this city?
I felt the connection before I was even drafted with the city. You know, I think that's why I was so happy and I was so eager to even get drafted by Toronto, because even beforehand, you know, I just felt I felt the need like they wanted me here, and everything just made sense from there. So when I got drafted, the way they embraced me made it easy for me to embrace it back. And I grew here. You know, like I said, it was my first time leaving home. So to come to Canada, come to Toronto for the first time, the city still was developing so much. Even now, when I come here now, I I remember when there wasn't buildings here. I remember, the skyline wasn't how it is now. So for me, I kind of grew with the city. I grew with the sport evolution of the city as well. So being a part of that, I think it was a much more deeper emotional connection.
It's just interesting because you would well know, a lot of players come here and the first thing that they want to do is get out.
Yeah.
People don't want to stay here. They don't want to be here.
Yeah.
It's a different country completely. You can't get, ESPN, the things that people are used to. And all you wanted to do was be here.
Yeah, and I think I used to hear that so much from players that came. I remember a lot of guys used to come on the team and all they did was complain. And to me, I used to be confused. Like, what did you complain about? Granted, this was the only place I knew at the time. So to me, I was just happy to be here. But that more so made me want to push and change the narrative of wanting to play here and be here. And I took that to heart.
I want to jump ahead to 2018, NBA All-Star Game. Mm-hmm. It's in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. How would you describe your state of mind around that time?
It was so much all over the place, because at that time my career was, at its height.
Yeah.
We was winning. So much was going on the court in a positive way, in an overwhelming way as well. And it was a lot coming with that off the court as well. And I think making it to AllStar Weekend that week, I kind of felt like I was just hitting a wall because I didn't care about nothing else other than just wanting to get home and hang with my kids.
You wanted to be normal. You talk in the book about this fight about wanting to be normal.
That's all I wanted. I just wanted to walk in there and be completely normal, at least for a day with my kids, and to get home and it be the complete opposite and even worse of how I was feeling the week prior. It just kind of made me hit a wall, and led me to, in the middle of the night, tweet out a tweet.
The tweet got a lot of attention, and the tweet came from something that you read and saw from Jim Carrey, the comedian. What did you learn from Jim Carrey?
Man, Jim Carrey is one of those people. Jim and Carrey and Robin Williams was two guys that I listened to him speak. I listened to him talk about a lot of things from a mental standpoint, from a life standpoint. And these are guys that we grew up idolizing as comedians that made everybody laugh, but you also see the pain that they carried with that.
They were as successful as you could possibly get in their fields.
And it always used to make me wonder why are they saying these things? He's one of the funniest guys I ever watched on TV, but to see Jim Carrey put a lot of stuff in perspective and humanize and show so much empathy towards humans, it was something that stuck with me. And I remember him even expressing the fact of he wished everybody was rich so everybody could see money as in everything. And that kind of hit home because, people always say, oh, you got money, you don't have nothing to worry about, but it don't work that way.
So you put out this tweet. The tweet is, this depression get the best of me. Mm-hmm. Why did you could have written it but not sent it. You could have put it in the draft. Why did you push tweet?
In that moment, I was so isolated. I was in my own solitude, and my emotions was at its all-time high, and I didn't have nobody to talk to. And it was something I wrote, and literally when I wrote it, I put my phone down.
What did you think was going to happen?
I didn't think anything. You didn't think,
you must have thought something would happen.
Literally, I didn't think anything because I wouldn't have woke up in a panic and a shock that I did, wondering why I had so many missed calls or text messages. I really didn't know. I sent it and I went to sleep, woke up, ready for the next day until I seen, the concern, people asking me in detail what did I mean by that tweet. And it kind of took me back to that moment like, oh man, I tweeted this when I was feeling this way. Even though I woke up and I wasn't feeling like the way I felt middle of the morning, things came with that tweet. I didn't know it would lead into all this to this present day. I didn't know, but it was something that was obviously needed, not just for myself, but for, the world in a sense, to show that we go through things as athletes, and I think after I took a second that following day, it just opened me up and made me realize, like, man, yeah, this is how I feel. This is what I'm going through. And it opened a conversation from there.
In the book, and this is true, you say that men, especially black men, don't want to talk about this and aren't encouraged to talk about this. In fact, the opposite is encouraged. You bottle it up. You don't say that depression is around. You don't say that you're not perfect, especially if you're successful and you're making money. Why do you think people are afraid of that? Why are people afraid of vulnerability?
We live in such an opinion-based world, and a lot of times people don't want to share things because we're getting poked at, made fun of, looking down upon, feeling looked at as being weak. There's so many of those, it's not enough empathy being shown to allow people to be free to speak out on a lot of things that they're going through because they don't want to feel shameful. They don't want to feel worse, and I think when you see someone in a higher position normalize, pain that they may go through, it's easier to deal with because if I was worried about what everybody else may think or may say, I would have never said anything. I wouldn't continue to say anything. I wouldn't continue to put my life, out there, even to this day with me still going through so much and still trying to figure out in the process. But it comes with trying to normalize those things so we could be able to, talk out more because I know I find inspiration in other people's story and figure out ways how I could be better and I could help the next person.
What have you heard that lets you realize, because when you put yourself out there, you're vulnerable, it's scary, who knows what's going to happen, but good things come from it too. So what have you heard that lets you know that you did the right thing?
It's so baffling to me because when whether if it's players or it's coaches, I just start with a couple coaches I done had over the years that after practice we sit and have in-depth conversations about how, me speaking out made them feel seen or gave them more confidence to speak up or, they feel empowered in a sense of knowing that, look, I'm going through this as well and can express it and help a younger person out. And when I hear those things, it means a lot to me because it lets you know that, it worked. It worked. And there's been so many people outside the court that come up to me and say how much I helped their kid or, someone 20, 30 years older than me telling me I helped them with something mentally. That means the world to me.
That's really powerful.
Yeah, I never would imagine that, I'll be able to do something like that following the tweet that I made.
I mean, you do great stuff on the basketball court, but you also wonder whether that legacy will almost equal that. Do you know what I mean? Like changing a conversation is a big thing.
Yeah, it's and I didn't realize how big it was until I did it. So it put me in a place, even in this moment, of still learning and still trying to grow and better myself and be a better father, a better person, a better, leader, whatever it may be. And just seeing that it's a constant journey that we all got to kind of go through. And that what led me to even do a book.
So you wanted to be here. You wanted to be in Toronto, playing for the Raptors for the rest of your career, or at least for as long as you possibly could. You get this phone call from Masai Ujiri. First, you're in a movie, and so you kind of, text him back, whatever like that. Then you get this phone call. From your perspective, what do you remember about that call?
I just remember being in shock when it happened. I just remember being there, being stuck when I heard the words.
The words, "We've traded you."
Yeah, like I just, once I heard the words, "We traded you," it was like nothing else mattered. I kind of was just kind of blanked out. And it was a weird feeling that I never felt again to this day.
In the book, you use the words "betrayed" and "blindsided" like a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Why blindsided? I could see. Well, why betrayed?
And that's just me speaking from my perspective because, I just felt like, I was going to be here. I felt like wasn't going to go nowhere. And, that was my feelings at the time, and it's just crazy how, the world worked because, whenever I see Masai now, I give him a big hug, nothing but love and appreciation for, everything he done for me in my career.
But are you still angry with the fact that even went down?
No, I'm not mad at all how it went down. Looking back on it, of course, in that moment, you know, you feel hurt, you feel all these things because, like I always say, you know, it's where I wanted to be. It's where I put everything into it. Where I became, you know, I was 19 years old. You know, I grew up here, wanting to be here, and like I said, I carry so much weight of wanting to change the narrative of being here that, you know, it hit different when it happened. You know, sitting here with you today, do I feel angry or mad? Not at all. Like, you know, I've passed that. I've grown from it, and you know, like I said, like I'm always thankful for the opportunity of my 9 years here. Will forever be instrumental. Nothing will ever top, you know, my 9 years here.
What do you still get from playing basketball?
The same thing I got when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
Even this far into your career?
Yeah. The excitement, the enjoyment, the competitive drive, the push. I still get the same feeling, you know, and that's a beautiful thing because I just remember being a kid, just always going to the park and wanting to play all day long, you know, and still having that same feeling, you know. That's why I play, you know, back home in a Drew League all summer. I play as much as I can because, you know, I love the game.
What do you do to take care of yourself, aside from the physical?
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, what do you do to take care of yourself?
You know, I just, it's a consistent thing of finding ways to, you know, stay grounded. You know, it's tough. You know, it's not easy. You know, I tell people all the time, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. You know, it's things I tried and I have expectations of it changing right there, but sometimes it don't work that way. I think for me, it's just a consistent journey of me trying to figure out what works. You know, sometimes nature works for me. You know, I do that. Sometimes if I can't be in nature, sometimes, you know, I take a moment to myself and try to indulge in something positive, something uplifting. You know, some days I may just take a nap and kind of just put my phones down, turn TV, and just kind of decompress from everything. So it's multiple things that I could consistently try to do.
But it feels like you're stronger now, like mentally, because of everything that you went through that way.
For sure. You're definitely stronger, and, you know, a lot of even more ways of getting tested come with, you know, being stronger, you know, that you gotta battle with. And, you know, I think I'm at that place now where I'm still battling with a lot of things, but I'm up for the challenge more so than before.
What's it like being back in Toronto now, launching this book?
Man, it's amazing. You know, this is where it all started for me. Like I said, nothing will ever top my time here because it was my first. You know, it was my first. You know, everything. You know, ups, downs, smiles, frowns, cries. You know, it all started here. So to be able to do something I never thought I'd be doing in my life, to come back here and do it is definitely cool.
Now, people are watching you in part because this summer you popped up in Kendrick Lamar's video, the song of the summer, Not Like Us. And suddenly you appear in this video when this is like this is the last nail in that beef that he had with Drake. Suddenly there's DeMar DeRozan. What were you doing in that?
Kendrick been a friend, family to me for a long time, you know, for a long time. And it was one of those things, I don't think I necessarily approached it thinking it was a you know, beef type of thing. I more so approached it like, you know, somebody that was close to me asked me to come, and you know, I supported him. You know,
do you worry you might get some booze when you come back next time Sacramento comes and plays here?
Yeah, you always gotta expect that. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm from Compton. I'm from Compton, California, and Kendrick's from Compton, and you know, like I said, that was somebody that was close to me, that was instrumental to me. You know, probably caught a lot of people off guard because that's a relationship for years that, you know, I never, you know, publicized or anything like that. But yeah, that was more so of, you know, that's my man. He asked me for a favor, and, you know, representing Compton.
I was going to say, see, it feels like you representing home.
Yeah, that's all, you know, what it was for me. You know, looking at it like, you know, I'm from Compton, California. He's from Compton, California. It's only a handful of us to make it out, and for him to be one of the great ones to do what he's doing, you know, I had to represent for the city.
No one's going to boo you here. People love you.
Yeah,
a lot of love for you in Toronto.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. The book is really interesting, but your story and the work that you've done on yourself is fascinating, and it has changed the conversation, changed the game.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.